Where do you come from? And how do you feel about who you are? And are you comfortable in your identity?
Rachel Zegler's very, very narcissistic. I'm better than everyone. I know better.
Disney's own audience has outright rejected the apology from their Snow White actress, a casting choice initially praised as bold and progressive under Disney's DEI agenda. But what started as a daring move spiraled into a disaster filled with delays, controversy, and relentless backlash. This decision is now being called one of Disney's worst ever, just 3 years before the most critical release in their history: Snow White. Rachel Zegler, who first gained attention with her debut in West Side Story 3 years ago, showed early signs of trouble. Some even joked she might shoot herself in her own foot, dragging Disney into chaos along the way. And that's exactly what happened. Rachel stumbled from one misstep to another, and her attempts to fix things even more outrageous. At first, she managed to look promising, like during her West Side Story promotions, where she passionately celebrated her heritage. But then the conversation quickly spiraled into debates over what it truly means to be of Latin descent.
Do you speak the language? Does it matter?
Does it matter?
Do you eat the food? Does it matter?
And that was just the beginning. It seemed like Rachel was trying to check every box and yet fit into none at all. At one point, she even admitted to battling imposter syndrome, confessing, "I haven't done any other film projects, but I'm constantly pinching myself." For a brief moment, it felt like she was genuinely grateful for the opportunity. But that didn't last long. Rachel's real attitude began to surface when she publicly complained about not being invited to the 94th Academy Awards, despite her film being nominated for multiple awards. Instead of handling the situation with grace, she turned to Twitter with a sarcastic jab, announcing she'd be wearing sweatpants and boyfriend's flannel from her couch. The drama was intense, to say the least. She didn't stop there either. Rachel kept posting about her disappointment, practically begging fans for sympathy. And like a fairy tale twist, it worked. Disney swooped in like a fairy godmother, magically securing her an invite, not just to attend, but to present. It was a jaw-dropping move that seemed to embolden Rachel. She clearly thought, if Disney's got my back, I can do whatever I want. And oh, did she run with that confidence? Fast forward to her next PR nightmare during the promotion of Shazam, Fury of the Gods. When asked why she took the role, her response wasn't about the story or the character. Nope. She flat out said, "I needed a job." Not exactly the kind of statement you expect on a red carpet, and it definitely stirred up backlash. To make matters worse, Rachel showed up wearing a top with a bold and borderline rude message, fueling even more outrage. And at this point, the controversies just kept stacking up. But let's talk about the moment that truly sealed Rachel's reputation, landing the role of Disney's new Snow White. You'd think being cast as such an iconic character would bring out some humility, or at least a little professionalism. Instead, Rachel seemed to go out of her way to trash the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She labeled it outdated, criticized the storyline, and even admitted she'd only watched it once because it scared her as a child. Not exactly the kind of respect you'd expect from someone stepping into the shoes of one of Disney's most cherished princesses. Fans were furious, especially Disney loyalists who saw Snow White as a cornerstone of animation history. And now, the actress playing her was openly dismissing the film that started it all. To make things worse, controversy erupted over the portrayal of the dwarves in the remake, forcing Disney to scrap and reshoot parts of the movie. These setbacks, combined with the massive backlash, reportedly pushed Disney to delay the release by an entire year. Officially, they cited the actors' strike, but insiders whispered the truth. It was fear. Fear that the film would flop at the box office after all the controversy surrounding Rachel's comments and the divisive portrayal of the project. What should have been a celebrated remake of a timeless classic has become a full-blown disaster. And Rachel Zegler is at the center of it all. At this point, she's practically the poster child for how one person's actions can derail an entire project. According to Forbes, the production costs for Snow White have already skyrocketed to an eye-watering $269.5 million. Judging by the trailers and the tidal wave of online backlash, this film is shaping up to be yet another colossal misstep for Disney. Over the past 2 years, the studio has sunk an unbelievable amount of money into reshoots, post-production tweaks, and relentless marketing, all for this one project. By the time Snow White finally lands in theaters, the total cost is almost guaranteed to blow past $300 million. And for what? Another movie teetering on the edge of a box office catastrophe? Behind the scenes, crisis talks were reportedly in full swing. You can bet Disney's executives were scrambling to salvage this mess. You'd think some solid damage control might help, right? Enter Disney's PR efforts, which included a glowing fluff piece in Variety designed to rehabilitate Rachel's image. Spoiler alert, it completely backfired. Instead of owning up to her mistakes or showing even a hint of growth, Rachel doubled down on her divisive attitude, playing the victim at every turn. It was like she just couldn't help herself. The article, meant to paint her in a better light, only made things worse. Fans saw straight through the narrative, and then came Rachel's so-called apology. Let's be real, this wasn't Rachel pouring her heart out. It was clearly a prepackaged statement crafted by Disney's PR team, copy-pasted by Rachel to appease the audience. Fans weren't fooled. The apology came across as cold, robotic, and painfully fake. These days, audiences have seen enough YouTubers, influencers, and public figures issue apologies to recognize when it's insincere. And Rachel's? It was no exception. The internet didn't hold back. The backlash was swift and brutal, with fans and critics alike tearing the apology apart. It was a PR disaster of epic proportions. Fans were quick to call out Rachel's behavior, accusing her of antagonizing audiences. They weren't seeing a one-off mistake, but a consistent pattern, one that many claimed reflected her true personality. Some even brought up her rumored involvement in Disney's controversial firing of Gina Carano. Remember that? Gina was dismissed over a social media post deemed offensive by some, but fans argued that Rachel's comments have been far worse. And yet, Rachel kept her role while Gina was shown the door. The hypocrisy wasn't lost on anyone, and it only poured fuel on the fire. Fans didn't just reject Rachel's apology, they mocked it relentlessly. Responses flooded in, accusing her of being insincere and dismissing the statement as nothing more than a Disney-orchestrated PR stunt. The consensus was brutally clear. Nobody was buying it. Comments like, "She doesn't mean it," "Too little, too late," and "This is just Disney damage control" dominated the conversation. Some fans even suggested it would have been better if she hadn't apologized at all, because the attempt only made things worse. Fans have been outspoken about boycotting the movie, with Rachel's involvement standing out as the top reason. The sheer damage she's done to Disney's reputation is impossible to overlook. Even after costly reshoots, a year-long release delay, and millions poured into salvaging the project, the negativity surrounding Snow White hasn't faded. If anything, it's only getting louder. At this point, Disney is likely counting down the days until they can finally release the movie and put this entire mess behind them. As for Rachel Zegler, she might have thought she was untouchable, but this ongoing debacle is showing just how quickly that illusion can shatter. What do you think about Disney's handling of this controversy and Rachel's role in it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe for more on the latest celebrity news and all the behind-the-scenes drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.